Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who acts like the entire world is their personal VIP entrance? Someone who believes rules, lines, and basic courtesy apply to everyone except them? Well, there's a guy who used to cut the entire coffee shop line every single morning. And one day, he tried that move on the wrong person. Because I didn't just stop him. I destroyed his entire morning routine, one irritating question at a time. If you've ever dealt with an entitled jerk who thinks the universe revolves around them, hit that like button and subscribe. This is one of the most quietly savage, petty, and ridiculously satisfying revenge stories you'll hear today. Grab your coffee, because I'm about to show you how I served karma hotter than a fresh double espresso. You know how everyone has a morning ritual? Mine was simple. Wake up half alive, drag myself to the tiny cafe near my office, stand in line with the same sleepy crowd, and wait for my caffeine to resurrect me. The place wasn't big, just a narrow shop with soft jazz playing, warm lights, and the smell of fresh pastries that made the world feel slightly less cruel at 8 a.m. And every morning, without fail, there was a line of 5 to 6 people. Quiet. Orderly. Mutual respect among tired strangers. And then, he arrived. I don't know his name, but for this story, let's call him Line Cutter Larry. Larry was about 40. Expensive jacket. Expensive cologne you could smell from 3 people away. AirPods in always. He walked like someone who thought the universe had laid out a red carpet just for him. And every morning, Larry performed the same routine. He'd stroll in, see the line, pause dramatically like it offended him personally. Then he'd put on this fake, "Oh my gosh, I just remembered something important" face, and walk straight to the counter. He always approached the barista with something like, "Hey, I just had a quick question." Then he'd ask, "What size is a medium?" Or, "Do you guys still have croissants?" Or the worst one, "What's the difference between iced and cold brew again?" Granted, these questions were stupid, but not illegal. But here's the trick. Once he was standing there, he'd magically go, "Oh great, I'll just take a medium latte then." And he'd place his order right there, skipping everyone. And the baristas never called him out. They were too sweet, too polite, too underpaid to start a fight before sunrise. And everyone in line? They do that thing where we all look at each other but don't actually say anything. Because confrontation before coffee is basically suicide. For weeks, I watched him do this. For times I personally witnessed, apparently he'd been doing it long before I noticed. And every time he pulled that stunt, something inside me simmered. It wasn't rage. Not yet. It was that quiet, irritated feeling, like a fly buzzing in your ear or someone clicking a pen nonstop. You try to ignore it, but it grows. Because his behavior wasn't about coffee. It was about entitlement. About acting like everyone else was a background character in his glamorous morning. The disrespect was subtle, but heavy. Like he was saying, "My time matters more than yours." And something in me snapped. The turning point. It was a Wednesday. I hadn't slept. My inbox was exploding. I spilled toothpaste on my shirt. Everything was going wrong. And then Larry walked in. Same entitled strut. Same fake, "Oops, I just remembered I have a question" expression. And in that moment, through my sleep-deprived haze, a thought hit me. If he wants to play this game, I'll play it better. And that's how the Petty Olympics began. White medium star phase 1. Mirroring his game. The next morning I saw him walk in. He spotted the line. He took a breath, preparing for his usual stunt. But before he could take a step, I stepped out of line and zoomed past him, which startled him. He actually flinched like a raccoon caught raiding a trash can. I got to the counter first. The barista looked up confused. "Yes? Can I help you?" I put on my best confused customer face. Yeah. Can you explain the difference between a cappuccino and a latte again?" The barista, bless her soul, started explaining. Behind me, Larry stood frozen, slowly lowering his lifted foot like someone had unplugged him mid-stride. I nodded along, pretending to deeply absorb this knowledge. Then, after a solid minute, I said, "Thanks. I'll think about it." I'll just get back in line. And I walked back to my original spot. The entire line watched. Some covered their smirks. One guy even mouthed nice. Larry just stood there, silent, confused, defeated. He tried to recover, but the barista was already helping the next person. He slunk back to the end of the line like a scolded child. And inside me, something bloomed. Not pride, not joy. No. Power. White medium star phase 2. Ratcheting it up. See, once you taste petty justice, you get addicted. The next day, I was ready. Same scene. Same lineup. Same Larry. He tried again. And again. I beat him to the counter, like a caffeinated cheetah.
Sorry.
Just a quick question. I chirped. Then I unleashed the milk inquisition. Do you have oat milk? Yes, we do. What about almond? Soy? Coconut? Which one froths the best? Can I see them? The barista actually turned around to check. I could feel the people in line trembling with laughter restraint. When she finished listing milks like she was reading from a spellbook, I nodded thoughtfully and said, Actually, I'll think about it. Back to my spot. Smile. Mini bow. Return to line. Behind me, Larry looked like someone had unplugged the sun from his sky. His eye twitched. His jaw clenched. Good. On the third day, I didn't even wait for him to move. He walked in. I immediately leaped from my spot like a man trying to catch a bus. This time, I went all out. Could you walk me through all your pastries? The barista pointed at the display. No, sorry, I mean like emotionally. What's the vibe of each pastry? I'm not proud, but I am satisfied. She laughed, realizing what I was doing, and played along. Meanwhile, Larry looked like a man watching his life flash before his eyes. And again, I said the magic words. Actually, I need to think. I'll get back in line. By day 5, the entire staff recognized me. They even smiled when I approached the counter early. Larry walked in.
Saw me. Paused.
And for the first time ever, he walked to the back of the line. Head down. Spirit broken. Morning routine shattered. He never tried cutting again. From that day on, he stood silently in his proper place, staring at the floor, fully domesticated by my weaponized, inquisitive curiosity. And honestly, it was beautiful. The last time I saw him attempt his old routine, he actually stepped forward like he was about to cut. Then he saw me already turning slightly toward the counter, as if preparing to sprint. And he stopped. Completely froze. Then quietly whispered, Nah, I'll just wait. The look in his eyes? Pure defeat.
Pure surrender.
The same man who used to breeze past the line like a king now waited like every other mortal human being.
No tantrum. No excuses.
No more fake questions. Just silence. And the weight of his newly learned humility. That final moment, watching him correct his behavior before I even moved, that was the masterpiece. That was the moment he realized. You can skip the line, but you can't skip karma. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's not dramatic. Sometimes it's not even morally grand. Sometimes justice is just one person deciding.
No, you don't get to treat people like that.
And honestly, it works. Small battles matter. Because respect matters. And people like Larry? They only stop when someone finally stands up, even if it's in the pettiest way possible. If this story made you smile, laugh, or crave your own petty victory, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe for more. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen in real life? I might turn your story into the next episode. Thanks for watching. And remember,
don't skip the line.
Someone might be waiting to teach you a lesson.